Testing. Testing 1, 2, 3. The folks in the chat room can let us know if the audio is now on. Looks like I forgot to hit a button this morning, so so that would explain why we had no audio. So I think we have audio now. Okay, great, we can hear us. Okay, so now, thank you, chat room, for keeping us in the loop. So now we are on. I think we're back up to speed. So now let me go back and reintroduce everyone. So here I'm Jason Kasperick, calling the game this morning. I'm assisted by Heather Schulke, who's running the cameras, and also making sure that we do have, in fact, audio, which is terrific. So thank you, Heather. We have a great kitchen staff this morning, led by Lisa Andrew and omelet maker Enrique Kampanich. I'm eating an omelet right now. It's delicious. And then I would like to thank this morning our ice crew, Ken Ray, Jim D'Onofrio, Rhonda Brandt, who showed up here bright and early at 6 a.m. to make sure that these curlers had great ice. So what we see on the ice right now is the C event quarterfinals. All of the games on this sheet are C event quarterfinals. Looks like there's some confusion going on the ice right now. Someone delivered the wrong stone, I think. We had one of those happen yesterday, but that can happen early in the morning before people have their coffee, especially after a long night. Anyhow, this is the C event quarterfinals, so the winners of this game will move on to the next game at the 10:45 a.m. draw, and then if they winners of that game will then play again at 2:30 p.m. So it is a long, hard fight for that C event trophy this morning here at the club. Later on this morning, we'll also see the B event finals, the A event finals. Those will also happen in those later draws. But right now, again, just the C. All right, so on the sheets this morning, we are doing coverage from sheet B, which is the Ardsley team, Andy Eaton, Ray Ulmer, Josh Friedman, Alex Zick. They're with the Red Stones this morning. And the Yellow Stones, we have a Nutmeg team of Christopher Conley, Nigel Lucas, Casey Harden, and Drew Warnick. Over on sheet A, we have another Nutmeg rink, Chris Nutmeg, and then we also have Machino, Philadelphia. On sheet C, we have Stayer from Philly, Bucks County. And then we also have Smith from Cape Cod. And over on D, we have the Peterson Hacks and Folger from Triangle down in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we're pleased to have quite a diverse lineup here, actually, this morning on all the different sheets. So we do have the chat room up and running. We can see the comments here on the screen. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the chat room, and we'll try and answer those as quickly as we can. We'll also provide you with score updates from the other sheets when we can do that.
Okay. Sweep the line, please. Up. Up. More. All right. Now. Okay. Yo. 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 Let it work. Whoa. All right, bring it out.
And into the house here from the Nutmeg team. Ardsley calling for a hit on that stone and a roll towards the center line. This is the Ardsley second. Or no, I think it might be the Ardsley. That's the Ardsley vice. My apologies. Ray Olman. Stone is away, on its way. Looking good for the hit. Maybe a little inside the line, they get a hit and they stick basically exactly where the other stone was. Nutmeg now also calling for the hit. Stone is away.
Hold. Yep.
It's really great we have the on-ice microphones that allow you to hear some of the noises going on. The skips shouting for the sweep. Sound of the stones hitting each other. It's a really nice addition to the setup.
Hard. March can. Get it around there, guys. Come on, guys.
Nutmeg also successful with the hit there. Ardsley also now trying for another hit. Thank you, Rhonda.
No. Finish it now, yeah. No. No. See if we get a little roll.
It was a nice hit by Ardsley. Nutmeg now trying to figure out what exactly to do with that.
Yes.
Looks like they are also trying for the hit. I think they think that their stone that's right outside the 12-foot is actually biting. So if they can get rid of the stone at the top of the house, then they might be sitting one with that biter. This is the first stone from the Nutmeg skip, Christopher Conley. Calls them on for the sweep on that. Calls them off. Definitely has the hit. And he rolls to the inside and also into the 12-foot just barely. So it looks now like Nutmeg is sitting 1 and 2, possibly just 1. Ardsley responding by calling for a hit. So if Nutmeg is sitting 1 and 2, Ardsley may just be trying to cut them down by 1, since Nutmeg still has the hammer and they could put another stone in the house. Stone is away. It's the last stone for the
Yes. Whoa.
Ardsley rink here in the first end.
Yep. Hard.
They are sweeping that. Very nice hit.
Yeah, hard.
Now for Nutmeg, we have basically an open draw to the house. There's 2 guards in the middle, but there's still plenty of real estate to just simply throw a stone into the house. And basically, as long as they touch paint, they'll take at least 1 point, maybe 2 if that stone that's already out there is actually biting the rings. Calling no sweep for the weight, so it looks confident in that. Might be a little bit heavy. Let's see where that stone ends up. Oh, it's going through, and out the back of the house. Okay. The ice team is taking credit for the nice keen ice, which they very well should. Not sure if that makes Nutmeg happy right now, but the team is moving very slowly. Oh, and it looks like there's a question about whether that stone, that yellow stone from Nutmeg, is actually biting or not. So the yellow teammate is now over at the corner pulling out what we call the biter bar. And that's a big metal bar that they will spin around the, place the pin in the center of the button, and then they'll spin it around the outside of the house to see whether or not it's actually touching the 12-foot. It's not very often we get to see the use of the biter bar or the measurement stick, so it's a little special bonus treat for all of you watching it at home. And that is really close. Not sure. I can't quite tell from what they did there whether or not that stone's counting, so we'll just have to wait until they post the score. Which they're doing now. It is, in fact, one. Nope. Not biting. All right, so that is what we call a blanked end, in which case neither team scores. Neither team ended up with any stones in the house. So neither team scores, and the team with the hammer in the last end keeps it for this time around. I'll be right back. I need to go out on the ice for a second. And I'm back here. Sorry for the momentary interruption. The Ardsley Skip's wardrobe is not quite prepared for handling an on-ice microphone and kept falling off, so I want to go relieve him of it so he can curl a little bit better. And since I don't think I turned it on this morning anyway, it wasn't really doing us much good, so it's back in the room now. Nice hit here from Ardsley, or from Nutmeg, sorry. A little off to the edge of the house. They now have a split house. Andy Eaton trying to figure out what to do with his next shot. Calling for a freeze on the Yellowstone on the tee line. Stone has a long way to curl for the freeze, but it might end up getting there. Let's see what happens here in the final 15 feet or so. They are sweeping to try and get it deep. It's high in the house, not quite what they were looking for. And the Nutmeg skip, Christopher Conley, is going to go after this stone. So had Ardsley actually frozen that stone to the Yellowstone, basically means just getting right up next to it, their stone would have been harder to hit out of the house. Now it's kind of exposed. Nutmeg can take advantage of it. Beautiful hit. Now the house is kind of starting to stack up disadvantageously for Ardsley here, so. And Eaton calling for a hit on that T-line Yellowstone there. He's going to try and roll a little bit to the right of that, behind the Yellowstone. Use it for a little bit of cover. Don't think we quite have the line for it. Looks quite a bit inside. And what they're going to end up with is a very different plan B. A draw to the top of the house at the center. Nutmeg skip Chris Conley calling for another hit and stick. So just trying to get rid of that and end up with another Yellowstone in the house to make things even harder on the Ardsley team. Ooh. Sorry, that ooh you heard was from the stone that just got hit out, hitting the hack. Everyone on the ice maintenance teams. We always react very strongly to when stones end up hitting any of the hacks. We try really hard to make sure those stay in good condition. Ardsley now shooting against what looks like 4 Yellowstones closer than theirs. They're trying to hit that stone next to where the skip had their broom and then roll behind some yellow for some cover. They end up hitting the stone on the other side from what they wanted and rolling out of the house. He does cut Nutmeg down by 1 stone, but there's still plenty of stones to go in the end, and Nutmeg still has the hammer, the final stone in the end, so it's still looking like a pretty good situation for the Nutmeg skip, Christopher Conley. They are sweeping it. Sounds like they think that it's light, although it's hard to tell from the room mics whether or not you're picking up comments from this sheet, and it is light. Their sweepers are working hard to try and get that stone over the hog line. I'm just not sure they're going to be able to get, holy mackerel, they made it. Wow, excellent sweeping by the Nutmeg team. They carried that stone probably 15 feet further than I would have expected that to go. Again, I think that ice is just keener than typical normal Potomac ice, so I think you know, you can really see the difference on fast ice about how effective sweepers can be. See, we're up to 39 viewers, so that's more than I expected to get this early 8:30 a.m. draw on a Sunday morning, so thanks for tuning in at home. I think we were up to over 100 at some point last night, which is pretty nice. So Ardsley calling for the hit on this stone. They get it, but they roll out of the house. Ardsley doing a good job of cutting down Nutmeg's opportunities to build a big end here. So just hitting stones out of the house is a good strategy to try and keep Nutmeg down to what looks like maybe 1 or 2 by the end of this end versus the 4 or more that they were looking to build up earlier in the end.
A little more. Please hold that. Paul, let me take that out and roll in. Is that 2? Is that 3?
Testing, testing, testing. Just got a note that that was a little hard to hear, so I just tried turning the volume up slightly. I'm not sure which of the sliders belongs to my mic, so testing, testing. I think I might be a little bit louder now, so just keep us posted. Use the chat room if you have any difficulties with the audio. We do have some control over turning the various mics up and down, but I'm a real amateur at the soundboard, so I'll probably fumble around quite a bit looking for the right slider. Ardsley trying for another hit here. Vice calling them not to sweep. I don't think he likes the line. They look maybe a little bit outside. They do get the hit, end up jamming on their back stone, which rolls out of the house. It's unclear whether or not the stone they just threw remains in the house. It might be in, it might not be. Nutmeg here trying to figure out what to do. They're sitting good with 2 stones in the house. Now they want to try and protect themselves against the Ardsley team coming in with a shot to the forefoot or the button. Looks like they're going to try and do that themselves right now with this shot. Over on sheet D, just a little score update. We do have the Peterson Hacks after the first end being up 2-0 over the Folger Triangle. On sheet A, we have Machino Philadelphia taking 1 point in the first end. Score on that sheet is 1-0 Machino Philadelphia over Chris Nutmeg. Chris Conley Stone coming down the ice now. Sweepers are not sweeping it. It looks like it might be a little heavy. Let's see what happens here. No, no.
Yes!
Weight's looking pretty good. Just slightly heavy. They really wanted to get a shot right on the button there. A little bit further than what they wanted. So now Ardsley has the opportunity to come down, basically sit right on those 2 yellow stones. Really, they want to be higher than that, much more towards the T-line, but if they're heavy and sit down on those 2 yellow stones, then that'll be a good result too. It's a really interesting house over there on sheet D, which I didn't quite catch, but there are 4 yellow stones really, really close to the button all surrounding it, and I'm not sure what exactly happened at the end there. They may have only taken 1 point. Andy Eaton from Ardsley with his last stone of the end really needs to get that down to the center line, to the button, and it is very heavy. It's going to go all the way into the backing, which is fine. It's heavy enough to bump that yellow stone out of the house. Christopher Conley here trying for a hit on that stone. They do have a chance just to bump it out to the side and then sit 3. So we will see what happens. Score update over on sheet C. After the second end, the score is 2-1. With Stayer, Philadelphia, Bucks County up over Smith Cape Cod. Nice hit from Christopher Conley, and that means Nutmeg taking 3 in that end. First stone from Nutmeg was a center line guard, very nice. Andy Eaton here calling for a draw behind the yellow stone, just to the top of the house. Ends up splitting that open just a little bit.
On the boards.
Nutmeg lead. Drew Warnick in the hack with his second stone. Sweepers are sweeping that, carry it as far as way. They are sweeping, 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 trying to get it there all the way. And Eaton calling for the draw behind. Plenty of room still to get between the guards on the sheet. That stone just looks like it might be a little too heavy, maybe out the back of the house. Yep. Nutmeg now also trying for the draw. And if they don't quite get it, they could end up promoting their own stone. We'll see what happens. They are sweeping that stone, I think, for both line and for weight. And that looks like it's going to end up being a very nice draw. Very nice draw there from the Nutmeg second, Casey Hart. Andy Eaton from Ardsley calling for his second to just follow it down. Sit right on it, bump it back a little bit, out count it. Ardsley team also sweeping that. They ended up being a little bit narrow, hit the guard, and split the guard zone open. Nutmeg stone shot rock is now totally exposed, forcing them to try and guard it up here now with this shot. They are, that stone is away. Sweepers like the weight of it, they're not sweeping at all. And looks like they end up getting more of a freeze rather than a guard. Andy Eaton calling for a takeout here. If they're lucky, they can get a double. But I think they'd be happy with just a single. Sweepers are on that right away from the start, so I don't think they like the line very much. They're sweeping hard to try and keep it on line. I don't think they're going to hit the stone they were looking for, but they may hit the other stone. And they get a piece of it, but don't end up making the takeout. It's an advantageous result for Nutmeg. Score request for sheet D. A little hard to tell right now with some curlers in the way, but they are in the third end. Score is 2-2. Triangle Folger versus Peterson Hacks. Back on sheet B, the Nutmeg stone's away. They're just looking for a guard here to guard their two stones right on the center line already in the house. And they are sweeping that just to make sure it's over the hog line, which it is. The lineup of that stone looks nice for a guard, providing adequate protection for those shot rocks. Ardsley now here trying to draw down to it. So their stone is away. Looks to me, oh, this might, it's actually looking pretty good. It just needs to curl a little bit more. No, not quite. It's just gonna get a piece of that yellow stone. But they do end up with a good result with that, ending up being second shot, so not altogether bad. Nutmeg trying to put one back to compensate for the one that red just moved around. See Murray Jackson from Triangle is in the chat room. Hi Murray, good to see you. Also, another interesting note over on sheet D, we have a fellow from the Peterson Hacks is Carl Anderson, a longtime Potomac curler, father, now joining curling and enjoying it very much down here at Potomac for this Bonspiel. Back over on sheet B. Ardsley calling for a hit on the shot rock here. Really nice control weight hit. Trying to get a little bit of movement out of that to hit that shot rock, which they get. Very nice shot from the Ardsley Vice. Ray Ulmer. Christopher Conley from Nutmeg coming down the sheet for his first shot of the end. Just trying to draw another one into the house, it looks like, from where the Vice's broom is placed, although I didn't see him actually call the shot, so I'm not sure that's what they're going for, but looks like it. Quite a different scene in the warm room here from last night. A few volunteers sitting around, a few competitors for the upcoming draw, having some breakfast. It's a nice, quiet, peaceful morning compared to the scene last night, which was more of a party atmosphere. Lots of people packed into the warm room having a good time. So Christopher Conley's stone coming into the house now. A little bit deeper than what they wanted, I think. Looks like they may have moved their own stone out past the second shot position, but it's hard to tell from the overhead cameras, so we'll just have to see. Andy Eaton from Ardsley now going to try basically the exact same shot that Christopher Conley just made. It's always nice to be in this position where you can try the exact same shot as the opponent just made, because you can watch where they put the broom and kind of learn from that and see whether or not they called the right ice, make any adjustments you need to do. So that helps with the ice call, but doesn't necessarily help with getting your weight right once you get down to the other end.
A little wide, you gotta come back! Nothing!
Looks like the sweepers and the skip are not touching that stone. It needs to move a lot in order to get that. And ultimately, not a bad result for the Ardsley. It looks like they may end up now in shot or second shot position, depending on the placement of those red and yellow stones there closer to the 4-foot. Christopher Conley trying again the same shot he just threw. Now he's going to want to leave this higher in the house in shot position, but he doesn't want to be too deep, because that gives Andy Eaton the opportunity to basically throw the same shot again, follow him down, and then sit closer to the button. So Christopher Conley trying for the draw, wanting to get shot position confidently, but not wanting to go too deep into the house.
Where is he, guys? Where is it? No.
And that stone also needs to move more. Needs to start curling to get the line they want, and it does. But again, just, I think, too deep into the house, deeper than what they wanted. Now Andy Eaton with the hammer can throw the same shot, come down, sit on it, and ensure that they take 1 point. If they're a little heavier and move that stone back, they may end up being able to take 2 points. I'm not sure if they throw it heavier. Whether or not they'll get the curl they want out of it, but we'll see what Andy does here.
Yes, yes!
They are on that stone from the beginning, not happy with the line. Maybe now they are. Vice just called them off. Still has to move. Looks like it might not. Nope. Just a little bit outside the line. Looks like 1 point for Nutmeg there in the third end. Quick score update over from sheet A, now in the fourth end. The score after 3 ends being 2-1, Philadelphia up over Nutmeg. Score on sheet C, yellow, which is Philly Bucks County, is now starting to go up quite a bit over their opponents, Smith from Cape Cod. Score on that sheet being 6-1 after the third end. Just finished another end over on sheet D. I'll provide a score update on that as soon as I can. Okay, a score was just posted. Score on that sheet is now 3-2. Peterson Hacks over Folger Triangle. Back on sheet B, Ardsley with their first stone of the end. Coming down the sheet right now. Looks like they may be ending up with a centerline guard on that. Bringing it nice and tight to the house, but not in it. Christopher Colley calling for the draw behind his own yellow stone. Nutmeg sweeping that stone, sweeping it hard. I don't think they're going to get the draw, but they may end up with a promote that is hitting their own stone into the house. And that is what they get, and end up rolling nicely behind the red stone. And Eaton trying to figure out what to do. Is a little bit of a quandary for him. Deciding to come in for a draw behind the yellow guard over on the, what is my right side of the house, not sure. Looks like left side of the house if you're watching the coverage there. Thanks, Jeff, in the chat room for fielding Lori's question about the standings. They can be seen under the live draw. That draw is updated as often as we can with the current standings of where each of the teams are in the competition. Ardsley not ending up with the draw, just coming up a little bit short, putting another guard in the guard zone. Christopher Conley calling for a draw to the button from his own teammate. Some nice sweeping going on. Weight looks... The line ended up being a little bit inside where they were hoping to be, so they ended up hitting their own stone, but they do have 2 stones in the house now. Stone they just threw ended up being pretty exposed. Andy Eaton calling for a hit on it. Ideally, if they can hit and roll towards that left side of the sheet where Andy Eaton is standing, he could maybe roll behind some of those guards. which will be a useful position for them later in the end. Very nice. That's what they get. A little bit of a roll, not quite as far as I think would be optimal, but it's a good shot. Christopher Conley calling for the hit. He wants to roll a little bit back towards the center line after he hits that red stone. We'll see what happens. Coming down, stone is very hot. It's got a lot of weight. We haven't seen a lot of real upweight takeouts in this game, or in many of the games. A lot of people have been throwing much more quiet, slower takeouts. And that one just had too much weight on it to stick around, rolled out of the house. Typically, if you want to hit a stone and then make sure that your own stone clears out of the house, a good strategy is to throw with more weight, and that way the stone has momentum, and after the hit, it still has a good opportunity to keep carrying outside of the house. On the other hand, if you want your own stone to stick around, remain in the house after hitting an opponent's stone, you want to throw your takeout with a much more controlled, slower weight to make sure that whatever momentum it does have after it makes the hit is small enough to stick around. So I think that last stone thrown by Nutmeg was just too up weight to stick around after it made the hit. Ardsley here calling for the draw, but it looks a little bit heavy, maybe out the back of the house. Warm room is starting to fill up this morning as curlers come in to prepare for the next draw at 10:45. Having themselves an excellent breakfast made by the kitchen crew here for their game. Chris Conley also calling for the draw. Again, the score here on the sheet is 4-0 Conley over Eaton. Not sure whether or not they'll actually get the draw here. The stone is a little lighter than what they wanted, but they do end up coming into the house. Andy Eaton calling for a hit and a roll to the side behind cover. Score situation here on the sheet is not too bad yet with the 4-0 score, but Ardsley and Andy Eaton really need to start putting some stones in the house, try and get at least 1 or 2 points out of this end, get themselves back on the scoreboard and remain competitive in the match. Does make the hit, and he does roll, but he rolls too far and outside of the house. Chris Conley trying for the draw again. If you're watching at home, sometimes you may see a curler who is in the hack put their hand out as if they're making a handshake before they get down and ready themselves in the hack. And some curlers do that in order to make sure that they align their entire body with the broom that their skip is holding out for them, just to try and get the aim right on that shot. And this looks like it's a very nice draw. From Nutmeg there, very beautiful shot. It is deep in the house, giving Andy Eaton the opportunity to try and do the exact same thing. Now they have a little bit of backing as well, which is always a plus. down the ice now. It still has a good way to curl. It's got a lot of weight on it. It's looking very nice. They may have to hit it now. They want to freeze. And that'll do. Chris Conley also trying to do the exact same thing. The draw has been a very popular shot this end. Both teams trying for it on multiple occasions. Over on sheet C, where Smith Cape Cod is having a little bit of trouble on the scoreboard, down 6-1 in the fourth end. They're built a nice house for themselves over there, and they have the opportunity to maybe come in, take 3, potentially 4 in this end. So we'll see what happens with them. Back on sheet B, trying for the draw. They are sweeping that stone. I think they're sweeping hard to try and get it beyond their stone at the top of the house. They end up wicking off of it and to the outside. Andy Eaton now contemplating doing the exact same thing he just did, putting another stone down there on the button. Then they'll be sitting shot 1 and 2, which is good position. Nutmeg will have one more shot, and then Andy will end up with the hammer. So still a few stones left to go. Not sure. Nope, they're sticking with the same shot. So over on sheet C, the end just finished up. Cape Cod did take some points in that end as they're throwing the first stone, but I did not see how many, so we'll give you an update as soon as they push the score over there. All right, Andy Eaton with his first stone of this end. Coming down there trying for just a heavy draw to the button, bump their stone back just a little bit, add another stone to the 4-foot. Try and give themselves some points in this end. Indecisive about whether or not it needs sweeping. Looks like the line is really good. They do get the bump right back into there. It looks like now Andy Eaton sitting 1 and 2 in the house with Nutmeg about to throw for a hit. This is the Nutmeg skips Christopher Conley's second and final stone, so he has to make this one count. It's going to try and hit the stone either completely off to the side and out of the 4-foot, or drive it back into the red stone at the back of the 4-foot. In either case, if his stone sticks, he will certainly be shot and take 1 point. He may end up taking 2 depending on what happens with those red stones. Even if he takes 1, he continues to accumulate points. It's a good position for him. Oh, well, I'm forgetting that Andy Eaton does have the hammer, so he can answer back. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but. They're watching that stone come down the ice. They're sweeping it now for line. Looks like they're going to get the hit. They do get the hit. Beautiful shot from Chris Conley, removing both of those red stones. Now Chris Conley, Nutmeg sitting 4 in the house. Great position for them. Andy Eaton now has plenty of room to come in for this draw, but they do have to hit that 4-foot and be a little bit closer in order to get their 1 point. No opportunity to take more than 1 point in this end for them, but they really have to make this one count. Andy Eaton with the hammer right now.
We don't want this. We don't want that.
They're coming from the other angle than what they've been throwing, which is an interesting take. They're going to be, I think, a little heavy here. Roll out beyond the shot position. Looks like Chris Conley coming away with another point in that end. And that puts them up 5-0 over the Ardsley team. Over on sheet C, I do have a score update now. It looks like Cape Cod only managed to take 1 point out of that house. A little bit disappointing for them, I'm sure. It looked like they were setting themselves up to take more than that. So only coming away with the 1. However, the score is now 6-2 with Philly Bucks County up over Cape Cod. Still manageable to come back from. Over on sheet B here, score is now 5-0. Nutmeg up over Ardsley. Again, still relatively easy to come back from, but you know, technically speaking, but emotionally, when you see another team just score end after end after end on top of you, it can be emotionally draining. You start to question abilities and things like that. It can be sort of emotionally hard to come back from, if not technically too difficult. Over on sheet D, an end just finished up, but they have not posted the score yet. Oh, it looks like they are going to post the score right now, so I'll give you an update there. Looks like the score on sheet D is now completely tied up, 3-3, Peterson Hacks versus Folger Triangle. On sheet A, the score is now 4-1 in the 5th end, with Machino Philadelphia up over Chris Nutmeg. Second stone from the Nutmeg rink here on sheet B. They're following the stone they just threw down. I think at this point what they want to do is hit their own stone just a little bit and then split, ending up with both stones sort of at opposite sides of the house. What they end up with is a draw to the tee line, right to the button. A very nice draw. It's guarded by the red stone. Report from Ken Ray. He timed that last shot to the tee line, was 24 seconds, which is keener than our Potomac normal. So ice still faster, nice and fast for us here at Potomac, which we're very happy with. So for those of you not familiar with our ice down here in the Washington, D.C. area, we have a much more humid climate than some of our clubs in more northern locations. So we're constantly dealing with a higher humidity in the ice shed. It makes the ice quite significantly slower than ice at some of those northern clubs. So we've been trying really hard with our ice maintenance this week, scraping it much more frequently than normal, trying to keep the ice as fast as we can, which has been great for all of the visiting clubs because it's more like their own ice, but it's been a little bit harder on clubs actually, or the teams actually here from Potomac who are used to much slower ice. All right. Andy Eaton calling for a hit and a stick on the Nutmeg shot rack. The Ardsley second here, Josh Friedman, is actually a curler from Potomac. A lot of motion going on that hit. Looks like he ended up hitting one of the guards, moving a bunch of stones around. Unfortunately, moving another Nutmeg stone into the forefoot. And now with Nutmeg throwing the next stone, they have the opportunity to really consolidate their position in the house here with the guard. To answer Jeff Hannon in the chat room, yes, that is Chris over on A. He has the red stones on A. Stone going down the ice, Nutmeg looking for a guard out of this. They're now sweeping that over into position. Looks like they're going to end up with a very nice guard. It is into the house, a little bit deeper, I think, than they were wanting, but it is nicely placed. Andy Eaton contemplating now in the house what to do with this. He wants to remove that stone that was just thrown, try and open things up for him so he can do something maybe with his follow-up stones after this. Oh, Josh looking a little shaky on that delivery. Yeah, there's some scratches in the ice from that fall from Josh. The Nutmeg team there, or Ardsley team, trying to clean up a few of the scrapes from the slider. Stone did not end up doing what they were hoping it to do.
On this line, yeah. Guard.
Nutmeg skip Christopher Conley calling for another guard from his vice.
Line's good. Yes, 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 yes. All the way. Hard, hard, hard now. Hard, hard. All the way. Get it around me. Yep, yep. Get it in. All the way in. All right, up, up. Drag it over, guys. Drag it over. Good speed, good speed. Go hard, go hard, go hard. Go real hard. Real hard. Real hard. That's great. Nice plug. And went through the glory hole.
Nutmeg does end up getting a really nice guard out of that, exactly what their skip, Christopher Conley, just called for. Andy now looking at the house again. Wants to drive the red stone he just placed his broom at back into the yellow that's behind it, just trying to hit some rocks, move some stuff around, see if he can create an opportunity for himself.
How much can you see? I'd like control to get around a little.
Stone is away. It's a nice upweight stone that's useful for moving a lot of stones around when you need to. Line is good. It looks like, wow, just barely got by the yellow guard. Looks like that was a really nice shot. Ended up scooting two of those yellow stones out of the scoring position. cutting down Nutmeg to 1 in the shot position, having a lot of now opportunities at the front of the house for promotes of their own stones back to the 4-foot. Really good shot from Ardsley. Exactly what they needed right then. That's really nice. Sometimes when you go for one of those shots where you're just trying to move stones around, you end up getting nothing out of it, even though you send a lot of weight after it. Christopher Conley now also calling for a hit on one of the stones at the front of the house. Does get one, rolls out of the house. But he did open up that side for him to take advantage of later in this end.
Looks like it's got a lot. No! No!
Andy Eaton asking for backline weight out of his vice here.
It's almost stopped. Yeah, go now. It came to a stop. You're like, bring it in.
And sort of cleaning in front of that stone, make sure it doesn't pick anything up. Oh, wow. Beautiful shot from Ardsley on that. Very nice. Just the right weight. End up in shot position. Just got through that port. Very, very nice. Chris Conley and his vice discussing what to do here. Looks like they might be trying to attempt the same thing that the Ardsley vice just did. Looking at several other options as well. They're looking to come down through the right side of that sheet. Maybe potentially just to throw.
Yeah.
No, now they're back on the left side of the sheet. Looks like they're going to try the same shot just thrown by the Ardsley vice. I'm always impressed on these Sunday morning draws at a Bonspiel that there's actually still quite some good curling going on, despite everyone being very tired, worn out, sore.
How do you hog him short?
First stone from Nutmeg skip Chris Conley. Now down the sheet. I see Carissa Lynn is in the chat room. Hey, Carissa, former Potomac curler as well. Looks like this is going to be a really nice shot. Very nice shot from Christopher Conley. Beautiful, beautiful. Just got by that red stone at the front of the house. Andy Eaton now going to attempt the same thing. So we're seeing 3 of the same shots in a row. Sometimes happens, sometimes unusual. Oh, hey, Carissa, this is Jason Kasperic. I actually learned how to call weights from Carissa, because she taught me that the best thing to do is simply call out how far you think a stone's going to go, whether or not you think you're right, just call it out, because unless you call it out, you're not going to learn whether or not you're right or wrong. And no one else in the room is paying attention to whether or not you're right or wrong. So no one's going to laugh at you if you make a wrong call. So it's good advice, Carissa. Worked really well. Not quite the result they were looking for from Ardsley. Speaking of Ardsley, had the opportunity to curl up at their club last year for the McKay Douglas Bonspiel, which was a really, really enjoyable Bonspiel. My team and I had a great time. It's a nice club. Nice club, good Bonspiel. It's up north of New York City. Had the honor of playing against Team USA's second, Bill Stabera, and his brother and son. And we accordingly just got completely destroyed in probably, I think, 3 ends. But it was a great game nonetheless. And I am being joined here in the commentator booth, for lack of a better word, by John Hale.
Good morning, Jason.
Morning. Former Dykes teammate, 2 years in a row, Rochester and Broomstones. John also competing in this tournament this year.
Correct. We're up on the sheet next.
So. Oh, you're playing next?
Yes, we are.
Excellent. Well, good luck to you.
My team's still hanging around the B event.
The B event. So you avoided this C event slog to the finish line Sunday morning.
Well, our only loss in this Bonspiel has been to the Conley rink, and it was an awesome match. Nigel and Christopher are an unbelievable back end.
Yeah, absolutely. They've just been curling like gangbusters here.
Well, they're they're really finesse players. They really like the the come arounds, slow tap backs, that kind of stuff. It's a very finesse game. And
yeah,
they
absolutely.
do a very good job at it. This is Hammer coming down, trying to save the end here. He's just got to get through the port. They're calling no for line. Looks like he's probably going to wick out.
Yep.
And leave Conley with a steal of one more.
Yep. Just a whole string of 1-point ends for Conley and his rink. Ardsley not giving up yet. Let's see, I'll give you some score updates on the other sheets. Over on sheet A, we have a nice close game. The score is 3-2 in the 6th end. Machino Philadelphia over Chris Nutmeg. Over on sheet D, another nice close game. Score 4-3. Folger Triangle now up over Peterson Hacks. And on sheet C, we have a Smith Cape Cod engineering a comeback from a down position. Score on that sheet now 6-3. Philly Bucks County still up, but Smith Cape Cod now back in the game.
So this is Drew's first shot here of the 6th end. His call was a center line guard. It looks like he executed it very well. It's a 2-3 guard. Right on the center line. I'm sorry, just slightly off the center line. Ardsley call was a corner guard. Sweepers are on it pretty hard.
They are working to get that over the hog line. Oh.
And
They got
it's
it
a
over.
Very high one guard.
Wow. Wow. They swept like crazy.
Christopher Conley's asking his lead, Drew, to go ahead and bring the second shot into the house.
This Nutmeg team has really all been pretty consistent with making their shots from the lead on up.
They're on it for line. Looks like they might
this one may
the
be,
guard.
yep, maybe off.
Yep, they whipped the guard. It is going to roll in, but it's going to be outside, about halfway into the 12-foot ring.
Andy Eaton calling for a draw out sort of to the 8-foot on the center line, on the left side of the house.
Trying to use that high one guard to protect his stone.
Looks like he's on it though.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it's just going to split it out.
Pushes the shooter stone right over onto the center line now. Not the outcome that they were looking for.
No. Not particularly usable.
Christopher Conley is going to call their second Casey to draw in behind those two stones sitting on the center line.
Chris is saying I jinxed them. Yeah, I think I may have. Just saying that they've been really consistent and then having them miss a shot. So sometimes that happens when you're
Supers
commentating.
are on it from the beginning for line. They are working it
and
hard.
it's hooking. I think it's a little lighter than. Oh, it's
Way
a lot
light.
lighter than what they wanted.
Way light.
They may just be adding to the pile up there.
Just barely over the hog line, still blocking the center. So nice 3 stones blocking the center of the center of the rings there.
So John, in that situation, if that stone had been a little bit more on the center line and had hit the red stone, and consequently still been like half on top of the hog line, that stone still would have been in play, correct?
Absolutely. In fact, we had a case of that in one of our games.
Oh, did you really?
We had a very high one guard, and we wrecked on it, and the stone that we threw was actually still in play, even though it was 3/4 of the way over the hog line in the wrong direction. So, and we ended up using that stone later to to hide behind.
Okay,
so.
well, you do not see that very often, that is for sure. Not quite through the port there.
Yeah. The call was a draw in, so these guys are really struggling with the weight here. Either it's slowing down a little bit, or, or they're just tired because it's the fifth day.
Yeah, I think they might just be tired. They've been struggling with the weight almost since the first end.
Drew's second and final shot, or sorry, this is Casey's second and final shot here of the 6th end. On it for line, it looks way heavy. It's going to be an off end maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, a nice split out of that. And behind cover, too.
Behind cover, yeah, very nice end there. Calls a draw in behind the 4 pile of guards that are out front. This is Josh Friedman, who is a local Potomac guy. Happens to be sparing for Ardsley because their second ended up sick, I believe, and could not make the trip.
Oh, is that right?
So Josh was just going to spare for him for the first couple of days, but the team liked him so much they decided to keep him on. And
oh, there you go.
And so I think it's worked out fairly well for him.
Yeah. Chris Conley also now calling for the draw.
Yes. They did move some of the stones closer to the center line, which opens a port here on the right-hand side of the sheet. Nigel's throwing his first stone at the 6th end.
Yes. Yes.
They are sweeping hard. I think they're going to hit.
No, they got it by.
They're by.
They got it by, but that stone finished hard. And they do get it down.
Very nice shot.
Biting the forefoot.
Very nice shot.
Very nice finish there.
Some folks in the chat room have been commentating that Andy Eaton should potentially have been trying to open up the center by peeling some of those guards out.
Well, if he's not the first one to get if he's not the first one to get into the house, you know, behind cover, then yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, if he's got the guards out there and if he can get behind it first, then you know, you obviously want to keep him out there. But now that these yellows got 2 stones buried here, Nutmeg, you know, the peeling the guards out to open it up is a good option.
Yeah.
But he's calling a draw behind. There is still a possibility to get behind these yellow stones and count shot, but
yeah, and if he could do that, he'd be in a really great position, but only really to take one.
But this is light, and it looks like it's going to wreck on the front guard there.
Yep.
Does leave some tap back potential. Christopher Conley's calling for Nigel to come right down to the stone he just threw. Guard as a plan B. Last year's Dykes, I was on the sheet right next to this team in the final when Nigel went down hard and split his head open on the ice. It was a very, very horrific moment in Dykes.
Oh, yeah. Where was that?
That was at Utica.
Oh.
And so it came down to a measurement, and the other team had put their brooms down to protect the stones like you typically do.
Yep.
And Nigel stepped on one of the broom handles, came out from underneath him, and his head hit the ice first.
Oh.
And split his head open pretty bad, and he got a concussion out of it. But I will say this, he went into the warm room, got his act together, came back out, finished the game, and they actually ended up winning the A event. So
that was amazing.
He says he doesn't really remember playing, but
go figure. Yeah, I never like to see those types of accidents happen. It's really the type of thing that makes your
it's a nice
heart
come
drop
around
through
there.
your chest.
Ardsley's coming through.
So close.
Not going to sit
so
shot.
close to making that shot.
Not going to sit shot, but pretty close. Nice possibility of a tap up there. Christopher Connolly's going to guard that port so that doesn't happen.
All right. There's a request for a score on D. Score on D is still 4-3. Folger Triangle up over Peterson Hacks. They are finishing the 6th end now with only the hammer shot left to go. Peterson sitting, looks like 2.
Well, yeah, Peterson sitting 1-2 with Triangle sitting 3-4-5. Peterson's just going to draw down for another one.
Another one, yeah, and hope not to promote the triangles in.
Yeah, it was interesting because when we played the Conley rink earlier, we had two ends where it was a measurement. And so I was vicing and Nigel's vicing, and I went to put my broom down to protect the stones, and Nigel says, "Can we not do that?" It was
no kidding. Now,
well, this looks heavy.
It does look a little heavy.
The red.
Just barely tap it.
But it does sit second shot now.
Shot. This also gives Andy here the opportunity to hit that stone that
just a little bit more,
Nutmeg
yeah.
just threw to bump their stone into shot position potentially.
Exactly, yeah.
So let's see if Andy can take advantage of it. That would be a great turnaround to this end for him. 77 people in it. All right, so here comes the decisive shot, potentially, from Andy Eaton here on the Ardsley rink. They really need to make this shot, see if they can get themselves up on the scoreboard. It looks awfully heavy, doesn't it, John?
Yes, it does.
I mean, that's going to pop their own stone out the back of the house if it hits. Oh!
Nice shot there.
Wow.
So he moved a lot of things around.
He did, although is he now open for a hit from Christopher Conley?
It's there. If he comes down with down weight, he can get around there, pop the red zone out.
Right. Although now it is kind of opened back up. Even if he does make this hit, with Andy Eaton still having the hammer, he can just come down through maybe and take one a little bit easier than before. It was certainly a really interesting result. I don't think either John or I expected him to come with that much weight. I think we were looking for more of like a down weight.
Yeah, I was looking for a tap, just a tap.
Yep.
Just hit one, but he was obviously going for a little more than that. So he got what he wanted. I mean, he opened it up, moved all the yellows out of.
Yeah, and he may have, the thinking behind that may have been that if he did the tap, he was only going to take 1 point, you know, if any. And if he moved stuff around, it may give him the opportunity to take 2.
Looks like Christopher crashed on the red guard.
Oh.
Which leaves Andy open.
It does, absolutely. So now Andy is sitting 1. And this is his opportunity for 2. So it looks like his upweight gamble worked out for him, potentially. So over here on sheet A, yes, Ellie, Chris did tie it up over on sheet A. Scores now 3-3. And they are now in the 7th end. Over on sheet D, Peterson Hacks now up over Fulton Triangle, 5-4, also in the 7th end.
This looks really heavy.
Yeah, I agree.
Does not look.
This may end up splitting them out of the house. Nope, they'll just take 1.
Pushes his out, takes their 1.
Looks like they're going to continue playing. Or not. Nope, we have shakes over here on sheet B. This game is over with Ardsley conceding the game over to Nutmeg.
Yeah, so Nutmeg ends the game with a score of 6-1 after 6 ends.
Good game. Conley Rink just not missing a whole lot of shots, and really were able to take advantage of that. Oh, we're clap for Charlie. So we'll be clapping for that team as they come off the ice here. In the meantime, I think we will switch the cameras over to sheet C, which is now in the 7th end. All right, so we are moving over now to sheet C. Oh, we could move over to sheet A. Sheet A is actually, it's a closer game. Can we? How's the camera on sheet A? Do we? Oh, that's good. All right, so we're going to go over to sheet A. The game there is much closer. Over on sheet C, score is 8-3.
So this is Chris Nutmeg and Machino Philadelphia. And the winner of this game will go into the final for the B event, correct? Is that?
No, these are all C event games. So I think the winner of this game just plays in the next draw. Am I wrong?
I think this game might be a B event semifinal. Hang on a second.
John is going to go check that out. So over here on sheet A, we have Chris Nutmeg putting a number of stones in the house. Currently, the game is tied in the 7th end, and they now have 3 stones in the house. Machino now calling for a hit, trying to open some stuff up, get some of those red stones out. They are sweeping that all the way for line. Good game. All right, so we have confirmation from John that it is a C event quarterfinal.
Well, it's not it's quarterfinal, yep.
Yeah, so. Quarterfinal. All right, so that shot from Machino did hit the red stones, but didn't succeed in hitting them any out of the house. So now there's still 3 of the Nutmeg stones in the house, just in different place than they were just a few minutes ago. Another stone. Chris trying to build up a big end for themselves here. Take the definitive lead coming home in the 8th. And now Machino looking sort of despondently at the house, wondering what to do.
There's still a port. See, it looks like he's calling a double. Yeah, he's calling.
Yep, that's what he's calling.
Call a double.
He's supposed to get by that guard.
Oh, the supers are on it. It's on the guard. He's already called it.
Yeah, already called it on the guard.
There's still a double there. Oh, not
no, just opened up.
Almost slashed a double.
And that's why we place guards, because things like that can happen.
It's almost like they guard the other stone.
It's almost like they do that, exactly. We have the ice team, Rhonda and Ken, out there trying to repair some scrapes from the...
From Josh Friedman's slider. Not to name any names.
Well, I wasn't going to name any names. So what they'll do is just spritz a little water on that. Try and fill in any of the holes.
I hope so, because I'm playing on this sheet next. So.
Oh, well. So here's this Nutmeg stone coming back. It's going to be in the house. It's going to be deep in the house. Got a little bit of a wick. Looks like still in front of the center line.
There's a nice little pocket there, though. If Philadelphia can get a stone in there, they can really mess things up.
That's true. They'll be hard to remove if they manage to do it.
This is not a draw weight. This is definitely a hit.
Definitely a hit weight. Oh, and that was...
Comes to rest as shot stone.
A pretty nice shot. Yeah,
just
absolutely.
barely touching the button.
A little bit unconventional, or maybe not, but not what I would have called. But it did end up with a really great result. John is trying to swivel the warm room monitor a little bit more towards us so we have a better view of the That far house. Oh. Thanks, Mike. Now we have a much better view of the far house since Mike Dobbs was able to show us how to work the magic.
So right now, yellow is sitting shot. Philadelphia is sitting shot here, although Nutmeg's going to try to figure out how to pick the yellow stone out. It's not, doesn't look like it would be that difficult to pick that stone out.
Yeah, you could go to the right or to the left, which is exactly
what he's just calling.
Exactly the motion that the skip just made with his broom.
I think I would go to our right, which would be the skip's left. Just push that stone further out into the 8-foot ring and have the shooter roll over towards the button.
All the way, guys. All the way. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, agreed.
Come on. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. Come on. Come on. Come on. Keep it coming.
That line, depending upon what weight they throw, looks like jammy jam potential. But they've been throwing on the sheet. I've not, so.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't come at this with
it's down weight.
a whole lot of weight. Yeah, I think that's the right weight.
Control weight.
But they got to sweep it to make sure it stays on the line, because if it moves, they're going to hit one of their own stones potentially.
Sweepers aren't hard. Did cross over. Ends up sitting
They're 1 and 2, but
it is wide open. So if Philadelphia gets a double here, they could be sitting 1-2 themselves. I have to be careful on this double because the red stone, depending upon how fat it gets on the back one, could jam over.
Could
on
jam,
the yellow,
yeah.
So. A double here would turn the end a little bit, though, and give Philadelphia some hope to pull out some points here.
Yeah, and you know, I got to say this game has been very close the entire time, with both teams trading off points against each other, just single points, no big ends. And then even though, and I thought this end was building up to be look big for Chris, it really has the opportunity to go either way still.
Was that what you did here? You moved over like you put that over there, and I was like, what? Do it. I was like,
Machino really trying to figure out what the proper angles are here for them to throw. Have another end finishing up over on sheet C. I'll tell you the score there as soon as they post it, which they are doing right now. Wow. All right. Sheet C is getting closer now. Here comes the hit over on sheet A. Let's see what happens from Machino.
Sweepers are on it hard, trying to get the double out of it.
Oh, and they jam on the back.
Yep.
Yep.
That was my fear. Nutmeg's going to come down and put another stone in into the 4-foot there.
Over on sheet C, now a very close game now suddenly between Philly Bucks County and Smith Cape Cod. Score now 8-6 with Philly Bucks County up 2 points over Cape Cod. But the game is very close. Cape Cod's still in this.
So I think the call here is it's going to be a freeze. He wants it to freeze down on his own red stone so that if Philadelphia were to hit it, they can only get one out. This is his last shot, Nutmeg's last shot of the end.
What's the weight? What is it? Sweep.
They really need the guard out of this. If they leave themselves exposed, they're leaving a big opportunity for Philadelphia.
Yeah, the call was a freeze. Looks like it's going to be a little bump. Oh, it's
Very
a good
nice.
freeze.
Very nice.
Although it does leave Philadelphia the opportunity to get 2 here. There's about an inch separation between those 2 stones. If Philadelphia comes down just on the center line side of the front stone, they could double them both. Not double them out of the house, but they could move the front stone far enough, I think, that they could sit.
Yeah, they could move it out into the 8-foot
Yeah.
on that skip's right side there, and then sit 1 and 2. I agree. It's a good shot. It's a good call. Looks like that's what they're going for.
Little line, big weight. It's all up to the skip now. This is the hammer.
And there it is.
Hammer's
Let's
away.
see.
Call
They're
sweepers
sweeping.
on it
Yep.
from the beginning.
It's not typically a good sign, but you
It's
can
a
still
very
make a good
very
shot.
narrow line. And he got it.
Beautiful shot. Really, really nice.
And he got his 2.
got his 2.
That's an awesome in there for Philadelphia. They were in a little bit of a hard spot. They pulled that one out. So.
Yep. And two is a nice advantage to have coming back home without the hammer.
Yes. So in the 8th in, coming home, Philadelphia will be up 5-3 over Nutmeg. Nutmeg has a hammer.
John, have you played against any of the folks over on sheet A?
Not in this particular spiel.
But in the past?
I've played against this Nutmeg team, or at least the skip before. I believe they destroyed us. So.
First stone through the house.
That was the call.
Yeah.
He wants to play this in clean. He's up by 2. He doesn't want to provide any opportunity for a steal here.
Maybe it's because I'm not a very good curler, but I have had that strategy backfire on me at least 3 times that I can think of.
Well, so playing the clean game is all about the second and vice hitting their peels. If the second and the vice don't hit their peels, then it turns into a disastrous end.
Yeah, well, that may explain it.
It's a very nice 2-3 guard, just off center line.
Looks like Machino calling it through the house again.
Yes. No reason to put any stones in play at this point.
Right. He can't eliminate the guard because of the free guard zone rule.
Yep. So Philadelphia, or sorry, Nutmeg will put up another guard on the other side of the house.
We also have a tie game over on sheet D between Peterson Hacks and Folger Triangle. Score on that sheet 5-5, coming home in the 8th.
This is not a good situation. So Nutmeg's second shot goes into the house, so it leaves it open. Philadelphia is going to peel this out.
Right, although this being the 5th stone of the end, they could have peeled this even if it ended up being a guard. Is that right?
Correct. Sweepers are on it. It's down weight. It's definitely not peel weight. Looks like it crossed over the face.
Yeah, it's going to stick around.
Yeah, the shooter's going to stick around. Not the ideal outcome for a clean end, because it provides a place for Nutmeg to hide.
But he's awfully on the center line. He's not drawing behind it, is he?
No, he's going to draw behind his red stone over on the right-hand side, which is just out of camera's view. So. This is his first stone at the end. Sweepers are on it for line. And wait.
I think it has a decent amount of weight. They must still be on it for line. Just trying to get it by their own guard.
Got it by. They don't want to put it too deep. Right on the tee line. Philadelphia is going to come down and either try to take that out or just start.
They're going to
start
peeling the guard.
It's a good call. Keep it clean. Peel the guards. This needs to be an actual peel, though. They need to not leave the shooter sticking around at the top of the house. This is down
And
weight.
they're on it already as well.
Well, this is down weight, too. This is not peel weight, so.
Also going to stick around. Most likely, unless it hits very thin.
Might be trying to double them out now.
Oh, and he gets it. Just
He
managed
does
to
get the
double him
double.
out. Very nice.
Very nice call.
Beautiful line call, that's for sure.
Nutmeg's going to put another stone in the house with the hope that they can't do that again.
Over on sheet D, I'm going to try and tell you who has hammer here in a second. I saw the request, but I'm not sure.
Well, yellow scored in the 7th, which would be triangle, so this would be
Yep, Peterson has hammer.
Peterson Hacks. No, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peterson Hacks would have hammer. Petersham.
Lisa Andrew coming to the broadcasting booth.
All right.
In charge of the kitchen this morning.
Nutmeg's,
Excellent job.
Nutmeg stone came up short, did not go in the house, so it's a guard out front. Philadelphia is going to split their own stone out.
Yeah, they're definitely playing a nice, clean game here. Oh, they didn't quite get out of the house, but they're...
It's okay. They got rid of that mistake earlier. Nothing on the center line. When you're playing a clean game, you want to leave the center of the sheet open so that the skip can come down with a draw at the final stone to get the win. So that's all they're trying to do at this point. Nutmeg's going to try to put a stone in the house here behind their two guards. They're out front. Sweepers are on it for weight.
Absolutely, they're going to,
all
three of them are on it.
Now the, and they're not saying,
And
that's
now
not
all
a good sign.
4 are on that rock. No, just not enough.
And it comes up short. It's a 2-3 guard.
Chris looking,
most.
I think, visibly disappointed with that.
Philadelphia is just going to start peeling stones out. You're going to try to run Nutmeg out of stones.
They end up scooting their own.
Jamie Jam.
Oh. That's an...
And it stays around as a biter in the back.
Yeah, hard to tell whether or not it's out counting the biter in the front, which may or may not be a biter.
No, I think they're both biters, but it looks like the one in the back is counting. Philadelphia is obviously disgusted by the outcome of that one, too. So. Skip's making the motions of, I can't believe that happened. All right. Nutmeg's second and final stone here for the Vice coming down. Call is a draw in.
Looks heavy to me, but maybe it'll slow down here a little.
I think he might have overcompensated a little bit for their earlier two stones that came up short.
Oh,
like
just right in the middle of the house.
Yeah.
Totally exposed.
Well, so at this point, they're just trying to, hang one out there, let Philadelphia hit it, and then they'll play the hit game until they can end up with the last stone maybe. And if that back red one is still counting, they will be sitting 2, which is what they want. So this is a way for Nutmeg to get their 2 out of this end. So as their vice motions with a gun to his head. Philadelphia's vice now checking the stones to see who is shot. He's trying to hit and roll to the right-hand side. If he can get the shooter to stay around and be second shot or be shot after this ends, he'll force Nutmeg to somehow only take one. So
that does not look like a whole lot of ice to me
No.
for a hit and a roll to the right-hand side of the house. I'd be worried they'd cross the face, hit on the left side of the rock, and then even potentially
on it.
They're on it hard, all the way, all the way, all the way. Oh,
And he's already gone.
Machino.
Flashed the shot.
Oh. Now that
Flashed the
is
shot.
not
That is
good.
Not what they wanted. So this is the whole problem with the clean game, right? The clean game is all about you have to make the hits.
Yep.
And if you make the hits, you end up giving up big ends.
I feel like I'm like reliving my own throw stones through the house disaster. But certainly there's still a few stones left in the end, so it's nothing's final yet.
Because at this point, I know what I would personally call in this situation. Nutmeg should call a full half biting 12 guard up front of that stone.
That's
in the
exactly
center.
what I would call too,
But
John.
it would have to be second shot. Force Philadelphia to make a double on it. If they get the double, then you go for two. If they miss the double, then you just simply you're putting another stone in for the win. So
yeah.
I believe that is the call. Nutmeg's first of the skip stones.
They are sweeping, sweeping, sweeping.
They need to get this into the house.
It needs to get into the house.
It has to be sitting second shot.
It's going to be second shot. They're going to sweep it all the way.
It's a very, very good shot.
Very nice shot.
It is off center, so they leave Philadelphia open to get one. If they can hit and roll behind, that's what their vice is just motioning right now. That's a safe shot. But if they roll out to the right, they're looking at a draw for three and a loss. So this is a critical moment here for Philadelphia.
Yeah, and they're really taking their time to kind of think it over too, which they should.
So that's an option, is a freeze to the stone on the in the center of the house. Double, that's another option he just called.
What's he motioning there for, John?
He's going back to take a look. I think he's looking at the double, but he's shaking his
head
like it's not there. So
he's not happy with the layout of the house right now. That's for sure. Really taking their time to figure out what to do.
still talking about the double.
Yeah, the way that we have the games timed, they're sort of guaranteed to be able to finish this end, so they do have a little bit of leeway in order to take their time and discuss this shot. Since each of the teams are not individually timed like they would be at a sort of national competition.
They're still working this.
Yeah, it's very unusual to see skips, even at this point in a game, take such a long time to decide on a shot. But this is really, really critical, and it decides, you know, whether or not they have a chance to continue in this event for the C event trophy.
This is a loud game. So
Yeah.
Losers out, and so
got to make this count.
So it looks like he's going for hit and roll on the shot stone. He's going to not worry about the stone at the front of the 8-foot ring. If he can make this shot, and flop over behind the front red stone, he'll be sitting very well. Force them to do some kind of magic shot for 2.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if he misses this shot, then Nutmeg will be drawing for the win. So
yeah, absolutely. So what is the shot again here, John?
he's going to try a hit and roll. So he's going to
hit on the shot rock or on the top 8?
He's going to come control weight, hit on the shot rock, and try to flop to the right-hand side.
Behind cover.
Oh, now the Vice is calling him down. They're going to talk about it one more time.
Yeah, I don't think he liked the look of it from down at the hack end. Looks like we game on sheet C. Cape Cod versus Philly Bucks County just finished up. As did the game on sheet D. I'm not sure about the outcome of either of those games, but we'll try and get those to you
yellow on
as soon as we
sheet
can. Yellow on sheet D was triangle.
I don't know if they won or not, but they had a lot of stones in the house. Can we get some scores on C and D? Can you get some scores on C and D? Who won? All right, so they have made their decision. They're still going to come down and hit the shot stone. They skinnied the line up a little bit, so he's going to come with a little more weight. Try to flop behind the front red stone. This is the hammer.
This is it, not the hammer, but it's pretty much still the critical shot of the end.
Final stone here for Philadelphia.
They are sweeping right away.
Are on it from the beginning. This is control weight, so this is down weight.
Machino even coming in to sweep. I don't know.
Looks like they crashed on the front red, pushing it further into the house.
Oh, not a good result.
So at the end here,
Machino Rink visibly unhappy with that.
Chris is sitting 2 with a draw for 3 for the win.
So if they take 2, the game is tied and we go into an extra end here. If they take 3 right now, which there's plenty of real estate to do with just a simple draw, they could win outright.
Well, all he's got to do is get full 8 foot. Full 8 foot and he wins the game.
There's just so much pressure involved with this type of shot.
A draw for full 8 foot for the win is a fairly easy draw for most skips in this tournament.
The only problem is there's so much pressure when it comes down to this point. You know, it's amazing how much effect that pressure has on you. And you know, it looks heavy to me.
This does not look like it ain't sweeping. I do not.
No, I don't know what they're
doing.
Are they going to try and wick off the yellow? Just
I do
right.
Not know.
Oh, disappointing shot there from.
I do not know what they were sweeping
from
for.
Chris. They did tie it up. They are going into extra ends, but that shot was just heavy and narrow.
All right, so Chris gets 2 to tie the game, so they will go into an extra end here, 9th end, tie game. Although now Philadelphia will have hammer. So tie game coming home with the hammer for Philadelphia.
Both teams looking very tired. And the winner of this game might still have 2 more games to go today. At which point, I think I would just crawl into a hole.
And the final game is a 10-end game.
Oh, no, you're kidding me.
Yes.
10 ends?
The finals are 10 ends, so the final game would be a 10-end game.
Let's just shake after 2 and call it quits. So this is the
We tried to do that last year at Dykes. We were in the C event final, and we tried to convince the other team that we would just each spot each other 1 point and start at the third end. And unfortunately, the Dykes coordinator there didn't really care for that. So it's a nice center line guard for Kriz. So Kriz is looking to steal. So his strategy is going to be first 3 stones or so he's going to need guards out. And Philadelphia here looks like they're going to draw in behind, try to get the first stone in the house, force Kriz to come after it. It's going to be in the house, but it looks like it's not going to be covered. So it is partly covered. It's going to force Kriz to, so Kriz is going to try to draw in behind it too. Trying to steal, I don't know if I would go in the house as quickly. You really need to put up 2 or 3 guards before you start going into the house.
Yeah, yeah.
I think at this point he's more concerned about not being able to go in later.
Warm room really starting to fill up here this morning as curlers come in for their next game. Final score on sheet D. I don't know if he had a final score on sheet D. Mike Dobbs, who I think just had
so this is
sheet walked away.
This crashes on the front guard, but it ends up being 2 very good center guards, which is actually what I think Kriz should be looking for here. Philadelphia's second shot here at the 9th end. So once again, he's asking for the stone to be drawn into the house.
Just sheets C and D. Yeah, thank you. All right, we're trying to get some reconnaissance on the other sheets. So they did not post their final scores, so we have to figure it out. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to sign.
Which team?
On D.
At sheet C, we think the final score was 8-7 Philly Bucks County. We're just confirming that.
All right, Philadelphia's second shot was into the house, top of the house, which is what they wanted.
Yeah, 8-7 Philly Bucks County, and then on D.
Goes into the house, sitting second shot.
Okay,
Whips off the front guard. Philadelphia calling a straight hit. Try to get this red stone. Try to get this red stone. Try to get this red stone.